Hello, welcome back, everybody. Sorry I took a little hiatus, but we're back with the lessons. Today we have lesson 9. Wow, can you believe it? 9 lessons already. So we're back with Learn with Earthquake Dude here on YouTube. Before we begin, make sure you guys follow me on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, Earthquake_Dude. And let's begin today's lessons. What causes earthquakes? So to reiterate what we did last, we finished up plate tectonics, right? We learned how plates move, and essentially because of the large plates we get faults, which is the spoiler alert what causes earthquakes. Okay, so let's begin. I hope you guys enjoy this, and let's get started. So what causes an earthquake? And the most common one, especially the one that we're going to focus on, is slip along a fault plane. But you can actually get earthquakes from other sources of energy. So whenever you have a volcanic eruption and the magma is moving underground, you actually create seismicity. You can create some earthquakes. You can also get earthquakes from collapsing of a cavern or mine, large landslides, explosions, right? Blasting quarries, stuff like that, all create earthquakes. If a big enough meteorite were to hit Earth, that would create an earthquake. And just another interesting one here is when the World Trade Center collapsed in 2001, it actually generated a magnitude 2.3 earthquake, right? So give me enough energy and we can get a big earthquake. But for the premise of this lesson, we're going to focus on slip along a fault plane. Okay? So you guys have all heard that word fault, San Andreas fault, San Jacinto fault, the big Cascadia fault, right? But what does fault actually mean? Well, by definition, a fault is a fracture on the earth along which movement has occurred. Meaning, if there's a fracture and that fracture actually starts to move, by definition, it's considered a fault. Right. So here's some really cool photos of faults that have ruptured, created an earthquake, and penetrated the surface. You can see there's the fault right there. This one's really cool because you can see the fault ruptured through here. And you can see that this dirt roll was actually offset right laterally right there. Ain't that cool? Here's another example. This is the 1992 Landers earthquake. And you can see the right lateral offset. We're back. All right, sorry about that. So here you can see the fault ruptured right through this road. And again, look at the yellow line. It's been shifted to the right. What we call right lateral fault, by the way, but that shifted to the right, so we can see that this fault actually broke the surface and offset this road. Here's another cool picture. This is in 1906 after the big magnitude 7.9 San Francisco earthquake on the northern section of the San Andreas fault. Here you can see the road, right? And then it just stops. But if you look over to the right, you see the other side of the road. So the San Andreas fault runs right through here and offset this road by a lot. I'm not quite sure the measurements. Probably, I'd say anywhere from 4 to 8 feet. Just offset the road. So these things are powerful, and when they do create large enough earthquakes, they can cause significant amount of surface rupture. So now that you've seen some real life examples of faults, let's look at the kind of anatomy of a fault plane and fault blocks here. So there's three main ideas here, okay? The first one I want to start off is hypocenter. You might have heard this from previous lectures. And this is all tied in, so we always kind of go back to these things. The hypocenter is the point at which the fault first starts to slip during an earthquake. Okay, so a fault looks kind of like a line in 2 dimension, but in 3 dimension, it's a plane. It's a fault plane. So anywhere on that fault plane, wherever rupture first begins to start, that is the hypocenter. So that's where the slip is starting, and that's what creates the earthquake. Now, if you project that hypocenter, which is usually underground, up to the ground surface, that's the epicenter. It's the point on the ground surface that is directly above the hypocenter. That's what you look for after the big earthquake happened. After an earthquake happens, like, oh, where's the epicenter? Well, it's showing you the ground surface of where that's directly above the hypocenter. Okay, so very similar words, epicenter, hypocenter, but easy to differentiate. Now, rupture surface is the portion of the fault plane that slipped during an earthquake. The bigger the earthquake, the larger the magnitude, the more slip there is on the fault. And if it's powerful enough, the fault will slip all the way to the surface of the earth where there can be a road, and that will offset that road. So now that you have a good understanding on the anatomy of the fault, we know for a fact that faults create earthquakes, and if there's enough slip on the fault, you get a larger magnitude earthquake. Pretty interesting, I hope. Now, what kind of faults do we actually have? So there are different types of faults, and it all depends on the motion on which these fault blocks move. So let me introduce you to you. I like to categorize them in 3 subcategories. Okay, the first one is called strike slip faults, and that's when the 2 sides slide horizontally to each other. So parallel to the strike of the fault, which is the direction of the fault orientation. So when the 2 plates are sliding, that's what we call a strike slip fault. And again, this is more of a horizontal motion and no vertical motion. A dip slip fault is when the 2 sides slide up or down in the direction that the fault is dipping. So those are what we call dip slip faults, and those move vertically, up or down, not horizontally. Those are strike slip faults, right? And then the last, when you have a combination of both horizontally and vertical moving faults, you get what we call oblique slip faults. And that's when the 2 sides move both horizontally and vertically. So you can have a combination of horizontal and vertical motion. And from these subcategories, we can even break them down to more specific types of movements. So we have like 10 different types of faults, all based on different movements. But that would have to wait for next week. I'm sorry, but you're gonna want to stick around for that one. So, unfortunately, that ends lesson 9. Again, I'm not trying to make these too long, so I'm trying to keep you guys' attention span here. Please, definitely leave any questions if you might have them down below in the comments, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It means the world to me. I really appreciate it. Lesson 10 will be dropping soon, and that's the different types of faults. So that one's going to be an awesome lesson. Again, thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, EarthquakeDude, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much.